Odyssey, Book 16, Father and Son, the recognition at the swineherd's hut. But the two in the hut, Odysseus and the noble swineherd, had lit a fire and were readying breakfast at dawn, and had sent the herdsmen out with the gathered swine. And around Telemachus the yapping dogs went fawning and did not bark as he came. And noble Odysseus noticed the dogs fawning, and the sound of footsteps came to him. At once he spoke winged words to Eumaeus. Eumaeus, surely some companion of yours is coming, or another man well known, since the dogs are not barking but fawn around him, and I hear the thud of feet. The word was not all spoken when his own dear son stood in the gateway. The swineherd sprang up amazed, and out of his hands fell the vessels he was busy with, mixing the sparkling wine. He went to meet his master, and kissed his head and both his beautiful eyes and both his hands, and a warm tear fell from him. And as a father in the fullness of his heart embraces his son come from a far country in the 10th year, an only son, late born, for whom he has suffered many sorrows, so then the noble swineherd took godlike Telemachus in his arms and kissed him all over, as one escaped from death, and sobbing he spoke winged words to him. You have come, Telemachus, sweet light. I told myself I would never see you again, once you had gone by ship to Pylos. Come in now, come, dear child, so my heart may take its joy of looking at you, newly here from elsewhere. You do not often visit the farm and the herdsmen. You stay in town, so it seems it has pleased your heart to look on that deadly crowd of the suitor men. Then clear-headed Telemachus answered him, So be it, old father. It is for your sake I have come here, to see you with my eyes, and to hear you tell me whether my mother still remains in the halls, or by now some other man has married her, and Odysseus's bed lies empty of sleepers, holding only foul spider webs. Then the swineherd answered him, a leader of men, Indeed she remains, with an enduring heart, in your own halls, and always in misery her nights and her days waste away in weeping. So speaking, he took the bronze spear from him, and Telemachus went in and crossed the stone threshold. As he came on, his father Odysseus yielded his seat, but Telemachus from his side checked him, and said, Sit, stranger, we will find a seat elsewhere in our own farmstead. Here is the man who will set one. So he spoke, and Odysseus went back and sat down, and the swineherd strewed green brushwood under, and a fleece on top, and there the dear son of Odysseus seated himself. And the swineherd set before them platters of roasted meat, which they had left from their eating the day before, and briskly heaped up bread in the baskets, and mixed honey-sweet wine in an ivy-wood bowl, and himself sat down opposite godlike Odysseus, and their hands went out to the good things spread before them. But when they had put away desire for food and drink, then Telemachus spoke to the noble swineherd, Old father, where has this guest of yours come from? How did sailors bring him to Ithaca? Who did they claim to be? For I hardly think he came here on foot. And you answered him, Eumaeus the swineherd. Then I will tell you, child, the whole truth of it. He claims his birth from Crete, of the wide dancing grounds, and says he has wandered rolling through many cities of mortal men, so a god has spun it for him. Now, run off from a ship of the Protian men, he has come to my farmstead, and I put him in your hands. Do as you will. He declares himself your suppliant. Then clear-headed Telemachus answered him, Eumaeus, this word of yours cuts to the heart. How am I to receive this guest in my house? I am young myself, and have no faith yet in my hands to defend a man, when someone picks a quarrel first. And my mother's heart is divided in her breast, two ways, whether to stay here with me and keep the house, respecting her husband's bed, and the voice of the people, or to follow now whichever of the Achaeans is best among her suitors in the halls, and offers the most. But as for this guest, since he has come to your house, I will dress him in a cloak and a tunic, fine clothing, and give him a two-edged sword, and sandals for his feet, and send him wherever his heart and spirit bid him go. Or if you will, keep him and care for him at the farmstead, and I will send clothing here, and all his bread to eat, so he will not wear you down, you and your men. But in among the suitors, I would not let him go. Too reckless is the insolence they carry. They would mock him, and it would be a terrible grief to me. It is hard for one man to get anything done among many, even a strong man. They are far the more powerful. Then much enduring noble Odysseus spoke to him, Friend, since surely it is right for me to answer also. Truly my heart is eaten through as I listen, hearing you tell what reckless things the suitors devise in the halls, against the will of such a man as you. Tell me, do you bow to it willingly? Or do the people through the land hate you, following the voice of a god? Or have you some fault to find with brothers, those a man trusts to fight beside him, though a great feud rise? Ah, would that I were as young as this anger of mine, or were a son of blameless Odysseus, or the man himself, then straightway might some stranger cut the head from my neck, if I did not walk into the hall of Laertes' son Odysseus, and become an evil to every man of them. And if they overpowered me by their numbers, alone as I am, I would rather die and cut down in my own halls, than look on forever at these disgraceful doings. Guests roughly handled, and men hauling the slave women shamefully through the beautiful house, and wine drawn off and squandered, and them eating my bread idly, recklessly, endlessly, for a work never to be finished. Then clear-headed Telemachus answered him, Then I will tell you, stranger, exactly how it is. It is not that the whole people hates me and bears a grudge, nor have I fault to find with brothers, those a man trusts to fight beside him, though a great feud rise. For so the son of Cronos has made ours a line of only sons. Arcasius fathered Laertes, an only son. His father got Odysseus, an only son. And Odysseus fathered only me, and left me in the halls, and had no joy of me. And that is why enemies past counting are in the house, all the great men who hold power among the islands, Delicium and Same and wooded Zacynthus, and all who lord it through rocky Ithaca. So many woo my mother, and wear this house away. And she neither refuses the marriage she loathes, nor can she bring it to an end. And they eat on, wasting my house. Soon they will tear me to pieces too. But surely these things lie on the knees of the gods. Old father, you go, quickly, and tell steady-hearted Penelope that I am safe for her, and have come back from Pylos. I will stay here. And you return to this place when you have told her only. Let none of the other Achaeans learn it, for there are many devising evil against me. And you answered him, Eumaeus the swineherd, I know, I understand. You order a man who is thinking it too. But come, tell me this, and tell it to me truly. Shall I go the same road with the news to Laertes as well? Poor man. For a long while, for all his great grief for Odysseus, he still would oversee the field works, and in the house would drink and eat with the slaves, whenever the heart within him bade. But now, from the day you went by ship to Pylos, they say he no longer eats and drinks as before, nor looks to the field works, but with moaning and groaning sits mourning, and the flesh wastes away around his bones. Then clear-headed Telemachus answered him, The harder for it, but all the same we will let him be, though it grieves us. For if everything whatever could be had for the choosing by mortals, we would choose first the day of my father's homecoming. No, give your message and come back. Do not go wandering over the fields after him. But tell my mother to send her handmaid, the housekeeper, quickly, and secretly. She could carry the news to the old man. He spoke, and roused the swineherd, who took his sandals in his hands, bound them under his feet, and set off for the city. Escape Athena, that Eumaeus the swineherd was gone from the farm, she came near, and in body she was like a woman beautiful, and tall, and skilled in glorious handwork. She stood at the door of the hut, showing herself to Odysseus. But Telemachus did not see her before him, did not sense her, for the gods do not appear manifest to everyone. But Odysseus saw her, and the dogs, and they did not bark, but whimpered and shrank in fear to the far side of the farmstead. She signaled with her brows, and noble Odysseus understood, and came out of the hall, past the great wall of the yard, and stood before her. And Athena said to him, Zeus-born son of Laertes, Odysseus of the many devices, now speak your word to your son, hide it no longer, so that you too may fit death and doom to the suitors and go to the famous city. And I myself will not be long away from you. I am hungry for battle. She spoke, and Athena touched him with her golden wand. First she laid a well-washed mantle and a tunic about his chest, and filled out his frame and his youth. Dark color came back to his skin, his jaws grew full, and the beard about his chin turned blue-black again. That done, she went away again, and Odysseus went into the hut. His dear son was struck with wonder, and turned his eyes aside, afraid, in case it was a god, and lifting his voice he spoke winged words to him. Stranger, you look other to me now than a moment ago. You wear other clothes, your skin is not the same. Surely you are some god, one of those who hold wide heaven. Be gracious then, and we will give you pleasing sacrifices and wrought gifts of gold. Only spare us. Then much enduring noble Odysseus answered him, I am no god. Why do you liken me to the immortals? No, I am your father, for whose sake you go groaning and suffer many pains, and take men's violence on yourself. So speaking, he kissed his son, and down his cheeks a tear fell to the ground. Before he had held them back, always, but Telemachus, for he did not yet believe it was his father, found words again, and said to him in answer, You are not Odysseus, not my father. A god is casting a spell on me, so I may sob and grieve still more. No mortal man could ever contrive these things by his own wit, not unless a god in person came and made him young or old at a stroke, at will. Just now I know you were old and meanly dressed, and now you are like the gods who hold wide heaven. Then Odysseus of the many designs answered him, Telemachus, it is not right, when your own father is here, to marvel at him past measure, or stand amazed. No other Odysseus will ever come to you here. He is I, such as you see, having suffered, having wandered long, come in the 20th year to my father's land. But this is the work of Athena, driver of the spoil, who makes of me whatever she wills, for she has the power, now like a beggar man, and now again like a young man with fine clothes upon his body. It is easy for the gods who hold wide heaven to glorify a mortal man, or to break him. So speaking, he sat down, and Telemachus, flinging his arms around his noble father, wept and shed tears, and in both of them rose the longing for lament. They cried shrill, in bursts thicker than the cries of birds, of ospreys, or of vultures with crooked talons, whose young the country people have taken from the nest before they were fledged. So pitifully the tears fell from beneath their brows, and the light of the sun would have gone down on their weeping, had not Telemachus suddenly spoken to his father. What ship was it, dear father, whose sailors brought you here to Ithaca? For I hardly think you came here on foot. Then much enduring noble Odysseus spoke to him. Then I will tell you, child, the truth of it. The Phaeacians brought me, famed for their ships, who give passage to other men too, whoever comes to them. They carried me asleep in a fast ship over the sea, and set me down in Ithaca, and gave me shining gifts, bronze and gold in plenty, and woven clothing, all lying now in caves, by the gods' will. And I have come here at Athena's prompting, so we may plan together the slaughter of our enemies. Come, count me off the suitors one by one, so I may know how many they are, and what men. Then I will weigh it in my blameless heart, and decide whether we two can stand against them by ourselves, alone, or should look for others. Then clear-headed Telemachus answered him, Father, I have always heard your great fame, a spearman with your hands, and weighty in counsel. But what you say is too great. Awe holds me. It could not be for two men to fight with many, and strong men too. The suitors are no exact 10, nor 2 tens only, but many more. You shall have the count here and now. From Dulichium 52 young men chosen, and 6 serving men follow with them. From Same there are 24 men, from Zacynthus 20 young Achaeans, and from Ithaca itself 12, all of them the best, and with them are Medon the herald, and the godlike singer, and 2 henchmen skilled in the carving of meats. If we come against all of these inside the house, beware, your avenging of their violence could cost too bitter, too grim a price. No, you, if you can think of some defender, think of one who would stand by us too with a willing heart. Then, much enduring noble Odysseus answered him, Then I will tell you, mark me now, and listen, consider, will Athena with Father Zeus beside her be enough for us two, or shall I think of some other defender? Then clear-headed Telemachus answered him, Good defenders indeed, those 2 you name, though they sit high among the clouds, and they rule all others, men in their power, and the deathless gods. Then much enduring noble Odysseus answered him, Those 2 will not stand long apart from the strong din of battle, when between the suitors and ourselves, the war strength of Ares is put to trial in my halls. But you, for now, go home at the showing of the dawn, and mix among the overweening suitors, and later the swineherd will bring me to the city, looking like a beggar, wretched and old, and if they treat me shamefully in the house, let the heart in your breast endure it, while I suffer, even if they drag me by the feet through the hall to the door, or throw things and hit me, look on, and hold yourself in. Tell them yes, to stop their follies, win at them with gentle words. They will not listen, not at all, for their fated day is standing near. Lay it up in your heart. When Athena of the many counsels puts it in my mind, I will nod to you with my head, and when you see it, take all the weapons of war that lie about the hall, and store them up in the corner of the high chamber, all of them. And when the suitors miss them and ask you, talk them around with soft words, I laid them out of the smoke. They no longer looked like the arms Odysseus left behind when he went to Troy. They are fouled over, as far as the breath of the fire reached. And a greater fear the son of Cronos put into my heart, that in your wine you might raise a quarrel among you, and wound one another, and shame the feast and the wooing. For iron of itself draws a man on. But for us two alone leave out 2 swords, 2 spears, and 2 ox-hide shields for our hands to seize, so we can rush and take them up. And the suitors, Pallas Athena, and Zeus the counselor will daze them. And another thing I will tell you, lay it up in your heart. If you are truly mine, and truly of our blood, then let no one hear that Odysseus is within. Not Laertes, he is not to know it. Nor the swineherd, nor any of the household. No, not Penelope herself. You and I alone will learn the set of the women, and we might test this or that man of the slaves as well, where one honors the 2 of us, and fears us in his heart, and where one cares nothing, and slights you such as you are. Then his shining son spoke out and answered him, Father, you will come to know my heart hereafter, I think. There is no slackness in me, none. But I do not believe this plan will be a profit to us both. Think again, I urge you. You will be a long time going round the farms and testing each man, one by one, and meanwhile in the halls, at their ease, they eat through our goods with a high hand, and spare nothing. The women, yes, I would have you find out which ones dishonor you, and which are guiltless. But the men about the farmsteads, I for one would rather we not test them now. Keep that work for later, if you truly know some sign from Zeus who bears the aegis. So they spoke to each other of such things, and meanwhile the well-built ship was putting into Ithaca, the ship that carried Telemachus from Pylos with all his companions. When they had come inside the deep harbor, they hauled the black ship up onto the land, and high-spirited henchmen carried off their gear and took the beautiful gifts straight to Clytius's house. And they sent a herald ahead to the house of Odysseus to bring the news to watchful-minded Penelope, that Telemachus was in the country and had ordered the ship to sail on to the city, lest the strong queen take fright at heart and let the soft tear fall. And the 2 of them met, the herald and the noble swineherd, come on the same errand to bring the woman word. But when they reached the house of the godlike king, the herald spoke out in the midst of the slave women, Already, O queen, your dear son has come home. But the swineherd stood close to Penelope and told her everything her dear son had charged him to say. And when he had delivered the whole of his commission, he went his way to his swine and left the walls and the hall. But the suitors were downcast, dejected in spirit, and came out of the hall past the great wall of the yard, and there before the gates they sat themselves down. And Eurymachus, Polybus' son, began to speak among them. Friends, here is a great work brought off insolently, this voyage of Telemachus. We swore it would never be done. Come, let us drag down a black ship, the best we have, and gather seamen for rowers, to carry word quickly to those 2 out there, come home at speed. He had not finished speaking when Amphinomus, turning in his place, saw the ship inside the deep harbor, the crew furling the sail and holding the oars in their hands. He broke into easy laughter, and called to his companions, No need now to send any message. They are in. Either some god told them or they saw the ship themselves passing by, and could not catch her. So he spoke, and they rose and went to the shore of the sea. Quickly the men hauled the black ship up onto the land, and high-spirited henchmen carried off their gear, and they themselves went in a body to the assembly place, and allowed no one else to sit among them, young or old. And Antinous spoke among them, Eupeithes' son, Damn it all, see how the gods have slipped this man out of harm's reach. Day after day our watchers sat on the windy headlands, relief upon relief of them, and with the sun gone down we never passed a night ashore, but afloat on the sea in our fast ship we waited for the bright dawn, lying in ambush for Telemachus, to take him and kill him. And all the while some god has brought him home. Then let us here devise a wretched death for Telemachus, not let him slip between our hands. For I tell you, while he lives, this business of ours will not be brought off. In counsel and in mind, and the people no longer look on us with any favor. Act then, before he can call the Achaeans together to assembly. He will not hang back, I promise you. He will keep his anger. He will stand up among them all and tell how we wove sheer murder for him, and could not catch him. And they will not praise us, hearing of evil deeds. Beware they do not do us harm, and drive us out of our own country, and we come to the land of strangers. Take him first, catch him in the field, far from the city, or on the road. His livelihood and goods we hold ourselves, dividing them share and share among us. The house we would give his mother to keep, hers and the man who weds her. But if this word displeases you, and you choose instead that he live and keep all that was his father's, then let us not go on gathering here to eat away his store of pleasant things. Let each man from his own hall court her with bride gifts, seeking her, and she then may wed the man who gives the most and comes as her fate. So he spoke, and they all fell silent and still. Then Amphinomus rose and spoke among them, the shining son of Nisus, of the lord Aretius's line, who from Dulichium, land of wheat and grass, led the suitors. And beyond the others he pleased Penelope with his talk, for his mind was set on good. With good intent he rose and spoke among them. Friends, I for one would have no wish to kill Telemachus. Dreadful it is to kill the blood of kings. No, first let us ask what is the counsel of the gods. If the ordinances of great Zeus approve it, I will kill him myself, and bid all the rest to help. But if the gods turn us aside, I say stop here. So spoke Amphinomus, and his word pleased them well. They rose at once and went to the house of Odysseus, and coming in they sat on the polished chairs. Then watchful-minded Penelope thought of one thing more, to show herself to the suitors in their overweening insolence, for she had learned of her son's death plotted in the halls. The herald Medon told her, who had overheard their counsels. She went down to the hall with her attendant women, and when she reached the suitors shining among women, she stood beside the pillar of the close-built roof, holding her glistening veil before her cheeks, and rebuked Antinous, and spoke a word, and named him. Antinous, insolence itself, deviser of evils, and they say that in the land of Ithaca you are the best of your years in counsel and in speech. You were never such a man. Madman, why do you weave death and doom for Telemachus, and pay no heed to suppliants, over whom Zeus stands witness? It is unholy to weave evil against each other. Do you not know the day your father came here in flight, in terror of the people? For they were bitterly enraged, because he had joined with Taphian pirates to harry the Thesprotians, men who were our allies. They wanted to destroy him, to tear the dear heart out of him, and to swallow his great and pleasing livelihood whole. But Odysseus held them back and checked them, hot as they were. His house you now eat up scot-free, you woo his wife, you would kill his son, and me you grieve to the core. Stop, I command you. And command the rest to stop. Then Eurymachus, Polybus' son, answered her, Daughter of Icarius, watchful-minded Penelope, take heart. Do not let these things trouble your mind. The man does not exist, will not exist, cannot be born who shall lay hands upon your son Telemachus, while I am alive, and look upon the light of the earth. For I will say this outright, and it will be accomplished. In an instant his black blood would run down my spear, that man's. For Odysseus, sacker of cities, many a time he sat me on his knees, and put roast meat into my hands, and held the red wine to my lips. And so Telemachus is to me by far the dearest of all men, and I tell him he need not tremble at death, not from the suitors. From the gods there is no escaping. So he spoke to soothe her, and was himself preparing the boy's destruction. But she climbed to her shining upper room, and wept there for Odysseus, her dear husband, until grey-eyed Athena cast sweet sleep upon her eyelids. And at evening the noble swineherd came back to Odysseus and his son. They were making their supper, busy about it, having killed a year-old pig. But Athena came and stood close by Laertes' son Odysseus, and struck him with her wand and made him an old man again, and dressed his body in miserable clothes, lest the swineherd look at him face to face and know him, and go with the news to steady-hearted Penelope, not holding it fast in his heart. And Telemachus was first to speak to him. You have come, noble Eumaeus. What news in the town? Are the haughty suitors back inside by now, home from their ambush, or still watching for me on my way? And you answered him, Eumaeus the swineherd, I had no mind to ask about that, going down through the town. My heart said, tell your message and be quick, and come back here again. And a swift messenger from your companions overtook me, a herald, and he spoke to your mother first. But this much more I know. This I saw with my eyes. I was already above the city, where the hill of Hermes stands, on my way, when I saw a fast ship coming down into our harbor. There were many men aboard her, and she rode heavy with shields and double-pointed spears. I thought it was they, but I cannot know. So he spoke, And the sacred strength of Telemachus smiled, and his eyes went to his father, slipping past the swineherds. And when they had ceased their labor and made the meal ready, they feasted, and no man's appetite went short of the equal feast. But when they had put away desire for food and drink, they remembered their beds, and took the gift of sleep.